I'd like to share something that really relates to this. At the end of the retreat 3 weeks ago, I was very aware, which I shared, how the self, or the ego, wants to own all the things that are happening right now. And this has been going on ever since. It just grew and grew and got bigger and bigger. And I could not embrace it. It was impossible. All I could do was see it was happening. It was sticking out its head everywhere. It was,
the ego that wanted to own the revelation and the
beauty,
love.
the everything that I was doing that was quote unquote good, it just wanted to own it. I started contracting around what was happening because it was just being made so ugly, or it seemed to be. And I thought, is it real, this? Honestly, I couldn't do anything. This ego was just everywhere. It wanted to be acknowledged for everything. And it was a struggle. I was struggling with it.
It's quite shocking when it decides to really rear its head.
It was very shocking.
It's quite shocking.
It was huge. It was so big, and I thought, well, it must be on its way out, because usually that's how it happens. And so I was just going back and forth. I was being in this expansive state, and immediately this creeps in. It's like, oh, look how expanded. And then I would just contract around it. Mm-hmm. I couldn't just be with it, but I was very determined, to see, okay, I saw one day, what is most important, to be free or to want that acknowledgement? It was very clear that there was a choice, and it was a leaning towards the acknowledgement, but it was very clear that freedom is what I want. So I kept doing it, I kept surrendering it, I kept being with it. It was just 24 hours a day vigilance, and prayer and surrender and just asking for help. And one day when it was at the worst, I always call Marlies, and she said, you're resisting it. And from then on, I could begin to see that it was happening, but at the same time I could see I still could not resist it,
Yes.
But I kept doing it and kept doing it.
That's the spiritualized ego loves to come in and co-opt. And almost everybody I've ever met goes through that. Goes through that after their realization. They go through the ego trying to co-opt it, trying to reformate itself as a spiritually enlightened ego. Yes, it's very, very.
It was it was in everything. It was like I had been dipped in this need to be acknowledged, and it was in everything. I couldn't believe it.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. But you didn't dismiss it. Mm-mm. You just held your vision on it. That's the intention. In the end, the practice is the practice of intention. Mm-hmm. Is to hold it right here, just right here. That intention to not look away from what we don't like. That's everything. That unleashes your own prajna, your own heart wisdom. Mm-hmm. If you hold that intention, prajna, heart wisdom, starts to come, mm-hmm. and it starts to make the shifts. You don't make them, as you said. There's nothing you could do.
I really couldn't.
It bowls you right over, doesn't it?
I couldn't embrace it. It was, I was in it.
Yes.
Or I was contracting around it, but that was still the same being in it. Yeah.
Yes. Holding it is where it's all at, just like you did.
And I did it in everything, when I was praying before my food, I was putting it in there, please surrender. It was in everything I did. I had to.
Yeah.
I had no choice, or it would get me.
Traditionally in Zen, one of the last of what they call the spiritual fetters, one of the last spiritual fetters to go is they call pride of accomplishment.
Oh, good. Thank you.
One of the last, not one of the first, is pride of accomplishment. Is exactly what you're talking about. And it's totally impersonal. Right? It's totally impersonal. You cannot even want it to happen. And it just plays out its game.
And it was an embarrassment. I thought, it's embarrassing to say, but it's not me. I can see it's just conditioning. Mm. But boy, did it have a pull.
Yeah.
So,
great.
Yeah.
That's it. What a great teaching.
Yeah.
What a great teaching. Yeah. Right. But that's doing what you could do to keep your feet planted in the absolute. even when you couldn't feel like you're in the absolute. You couldn't feel this presence that had no ego. Still, you kept your feet planted there, even though you couldn't feel it, which is very key, because so often when we don't feel it, we doubt, we question, and we start to run. And when you step out of there, where's the only place you're going to step? Right? Right back into the... right there. Yeah, great. That's why what you talked about was so a practical example of what I say is your intention is everything. Because sometimes there are moments when that's all you have. You don't have sometimes your nice feeling. When I say stay rooted in presence, I don't necessarily mean that you're necessarily going to always feel like you're very rooted in presence. Sometimes all you're feeling is going to be gone. And all you're going to have is just your trust, your intention. And it's that trust, that trustful intention that just keeps you not moving from some place that you're not even sure if you're there. Yeah. Very powerful. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Great teaching. Yeah.